Hey everybody. Hey everybody. I'm a little bit tardier than what I said I was going to be, and I'm trying to get this whole thing down with live streaming on two different things at one time. Got YouTube on one device, got Facebook on the other device. But thank you all for being here with me today. I decided to go live today because I haven't went live in a while. So I was like, let me get on and try to drop a little bit of knowledge. So I appreciate anybody coming in here being with me because I know it's the evening time. Now I know you're probably winding down with your family or whatnot. But I wanted to share some information that I feel like is important to the new year because I know I felt it was important to me. And I was just thinking on this subject for the new year. And the subject, the title of this live is your 2020 is going to be just like your 2019. Now, the reason why I say that is because it will be just like your 2019 if you don't decide to do things a little bit differently from what you've done them, from how you've done them in the past, as far as your mindset mostly. And hey, thank you for joining in. Okay, so yeah. And hey, baby, see you in there. So, like I said, one thing that I'm going to talk about first is really going to be your mindset to make sure that your 2020 isn't like your 2019. A lot of people, especially when it comes to the financial thing and pretty much any other areas you may struggle with in life, you have a certain mindset that you developed over time from things that happened to you in your past, most likely in your household, however you grew up. So basically, in most people's households, that's where you develop, the little characteristics that you have that you carry on today. And most people are unaware of those characteristics that they have. So your experiences and everything that you go through at while you're growing up in your household, they basically develop files. Like if you look at a file cabinet, you just develop a whole bunch of files that you put in your mind on how to deal with certain situations. And those things get stored up. And whenever it's time to, whenever you're in that situation, that's when you'll end up drawing on that information and pulling out that file. And then you try to go ahead and use whatever information you have stored on whatever the subject is, whatever the situation is. And I get that metaphor from a book that I read. I believe it was Think and Grow Rich, as far as the file cabinet. And it was it Think and Grow Rich? I think it was, but either way, I'll come up with whatever the book was later. But when you develop those files, let's say when it comes to a situation with you dealing with money, I can tell you that one thing that I did pick up on, because it was like that in my household and it's like that in a whole bunch of other people's households. Basically, whenever income tax season would come around, we would spend a whole lot of money. And it wasn't a whole lot of money going around, in the household when I was younger. So whenever we did get money, we felt the need to go ahead and spend it on whatever we had available to us. And I started to realize that as I got older, I didn't realize, what I was doing or, the thought process behind what I was doing. But it was basically me drawing on those old files that had been implanted in my subconscious to spend money whenever I got a large lump sum of money. I did it in school on refund checks and whenever I got money back for taxes. So it has proven to be true, the things that I'm saying to you now. And that's something that I had to realize I was doing in order to get out of that mindset. And that's one of the examples for me, but I'm sure there's other things for you that you can think of as far as how money was spent or what you didn't talk about in regards to money or credit in your household. And those things you may not know, they stuck to your mindset in your subconscious, but they're there and they're affecting how you spend money. And if you are trying to change anything in your life, but especially your credit or your finances, you need to think about those things. Who's that? Hey, Cantori. Good to see you. Good to see you. And I see a lot of other people in here. But it's good to try to look at some of the ways that you have spent money or the ways that your family interacted with credit and money in your household to kind of determine what you're doing now and see if any of that is connected to those things. And then you can try to work on the habit once you know that that's what it is. But like I said, that's one of the major things that you need to look at. And it, like I said, it applies to any area of your life, not just credit. So I want you, everybody out there, to have a good 2020. I want it to be better than your 2019. But if you don't focus on things like that, unfortunately, your 2020 is more than likely going to be the same as your 2019. You're going to get the same results at the end of the day. So one way that you can try to come out of that I can say is, and it helped me, is getting into, well, first off, making sure that you know what your issues are when it comes to finances. And after you know what your issues are, you need to go ahead and try to figure out what you can do to correct them. But whatever it is, an area that you want to see more abundance in, or that you want to improve in your life, you need to try to get around other people who are doing things at another level in that area. So it's basically just getting around other people who are thinking on a higher level than you when it comes to that, because you don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. You don't want to be the person that knows the most about whatever the subject area is that you need improvement in. So you want to always go around somebody that is a group of people that are going to have more knowledge in that area than you. And by doing that, you'll grow exponentially and you'll be able to excel, because you really need to change who you are as a person. Like I could give somebody 800 credit score, 700 credit score, and then that person will still be the same person. And at the same time, while they're that same person, what's going to happen is they're going to go right back to a 550 or 400 credit score, because they haven't changed who they are on the inside. They still have those same characteristics, still have those same habits. So eventually you're going to end up being right back where you were, where you started. Just like if you, let's say your AC, if you turn on the AC to, 75 to warm it up in the house, but the window's open, then it's not gonna, it's gonna cool down inside the house. And even though it cools down in the house, the thermostat is still going to adjust the heat to make sure that it brings it back to 75. And that's how we are as people. No matter what happens to change our situation, if we are still set for the same thermostat of, wherever we are, then it's going to continue to bring us back to wherever we started at. So it's a good thing to change your mindset and know your characteristics that you have that are going on, that are affecting you, if you want to try to make a change in whatever area of your life, and especially in your credit. But a few things that people do that kind of helps worsen their situation when it comes to their credit. I'm gonna give you 3 things that people usually do that end up keeping them where they are in regards to their credit, and not really seeing much change. And one of those things is going to be somebody waiting on a miracle to come and fix their credit. But before I talk about that, let me really say people having an out of sight, out of mind mindset when it comes to issues going on with their credit. See, people get into financial troubles, and what they'll do is they'll try to not look at those bills that come in the mail. They know that they're behind on their car payment, on their credit card, and instead of them trying to do something to resolve the issue, they just try to brush it under the rug, and they just don't ever open the mail. They throw it away in the trash, and they just never try to deal with whatever it is that that's going on. And when that happens, the issue continues to pile up, get bigger and bigger and bigger, until it gets to the point where you can't do anything about it to try to resolve it. It'll be very hard for you to try to resolve it. And that's the issue. That's the point where you don't want to get. And usually when it gets there and you have your back in a corner, and you need to do something financially or with your credit, then you can't do anything because you've backed yourself into this financial corner. So then you have to do something to try to, pull yourself out, and you have to try to have something miraculous happen. And usually at this point, this is where people start waiting for a miracle to happen. They're like, well, as soon as I'm gonna go play the lottery, I'm gonna go to the casino, and I'm gonna try to, spend this money and get this and try to win big so that I can try to pay off all my debts. Then I'll be able to pay off all my debts, do everything I need to do. And, you know, most of the time that's not going to happen. Like some people might luck up and they might hit the lottery. You know, they might be the person to go hit big at the casino, but that is not a good way to try to resolve issues with your finances. Like you really have to be able to have a better set financial plan than that. Otherwise, you will be in that situation for a longer period of time. And then that's when, you know, people end up usually coming to me when it's at a point where it's so much stuff going on that you really have to dig deep, and it takes a while to get you out of that situation. And a lot of people don't even know that if you call or if you answer the phone for your creditors when they first start calling you, they can put you on some type of plan usually that'll actually help you not have to suffer so much, especially with your credit. Like there with your car, for instance, you can call your car loan, whoever it's with, and you can usually tell them, hey, I'm, you know, this situation going on, I lost my job, you know, I'm just running behind on things. Is there something that you can do for me? And a lot of times they'll let you do something like put your current car payment on the back of your car loan, which means you may not have to pay your car loan for a month or 2 months, 3 months at some places, and you can get back stable, because usually a person's car note is like their second highest bill other than their rent or their mortgage. So if you can push that to the back of a loan for, you know, X amount of months, like that can give you a whole lot of leeway to start getting yourself back on track. But because usually people try not to answer the phone and they don't ever want to call and they want to just brush it under the rug, they never even find out about options like that. Or they have credit card companies. Sometimes they'll close your card for you, but do a temporary close, because it's not good to close a credit card, but they'll do a temporary close. And when they do that, they can delay your payments or give you a reduced payment until you get caught up on the credit card. And like I said, that's another option that people can have to try to get themselves back on track, you know, while things are just a little bit shaky. But a lot of people, they never try to talk to their creditors, so they never get this information. They never find out. They just duck and dodge them. And, you know, like I said, I've been there before in the past, so I understand. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just letting you know there's a better way to handle it, to handle the situation. So, you know, it's always best to try to take your problems head on and try to deal with them that way. You can at least find out what you can do, start working on some type of plan to get everything situated. And then, you know, you can not be at the point where you've been backed up against a wall and you have to get something done in order for you to get your car fixed or replace your car. I've had a person come to me before, their car got completely totaled out. Their credit was in a messed up situation, so they weren't able to get a car loan. So they ended up having to get a rental car, and they had to have that rental car like for more than a month. So imagine, you know how much it is just to rent a car for a weekend. Like it's almost a regular car payment. And they were paying this like on a weekly basis for more than a month. Like that's a lot of extra money out of pocket just because they never dealt with the issues with their credit. And of course, they came to me once they're backed against the wall and they don't have a choice but to do something. And I don't want that for y'all going on in 2020. Even of course, I like to have customers. I'm not trying to see anybody in that situation. So another thing that I see people do is when they do start getting into a situation where they whatever may be going on in life, it may be pressure from your credit, pressure from your marriage, pressure from your kids. It may be all type of pressures going on in life. But what they try to do is my version of it, what I like to call it is keeping up with the housewives. And you may know it as keeping up with the Joneses. But, you know, I call it that because that's a little bit more up to date. But basically, it's going out and doing retail therapy. You want to buy something to get that instant gratification so that you can have that feeling of something good happening to make you feel good while whatever the messed up situation that is going on is happening. And yeah, you do get that temporary feeling of relief. You know, you feel a little bit better that you spent some money, you got something instantly. But at the same time, you probably putting yourself more deeper into whatever the hole is that you were already in. So, of course, I don't have to tell you that's not a good thing to do. And this may be a habit that you just picked up over time. Like some people, it's actually a habit, just spending money. It's not just doing it to feel good for retail therapy purposes. It might be that they, because of the files that they have in their mind from growing up in household, they always saw money being spent. So they always feel like they should be spending money. So basically, it can be something that's just a habit that's been developed over time. And that habit may have put you into the financial situation that you're in too. But again, all of this is about making sure that you do make yourself aware of what may be causing the financial stress that you're dealing with right now. And one last thing that I'll mention too is a lot of people, we end up living at the financial red line. And what that means is you are basically, all of your income is up here, all of your expenses are also up here. Like you may have a raise on your job, get a better job, and then all of a sudden your income increases from where it was. So now you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. But what people will usually do is you end up finding some expenses that end up putting you right back at the financial red line, and then you don't have no spare money and you don't know where your money's going. But it's basically because you got that extra income, so you feel like, well, I deserve a better car now. Bring you right back up there real quick. Or you may go shopping at Best Buy, put a whole lot of extra stuff on credit, increasing your utilization, lowering your credit score, and at the same time adding an extra bill that you have to pay every month because you had that extra money. And that is also helping to put you at equal income or close to equal income and expenses. So that's another thing that people need to be mindful of while they're out spending money, and especially when you're trying to get into a better financial position. And once you're there, of course, the only thing you can do is eliminate expenses, or you can increase your income again. But it's more important to know that you need to try to manage that very well and make sure that you are paying attention to if you are doing that or not. So again, all of this is just to say that while if you keep these mindsets, if you keep these characteristics, these behaviors, and you don't try to work on changing you, because you can, just like if you wanted to try to lose weight, you can find a diet anywhere, just like you can find a budget anywhere online. Like it's not hard to find a place where you can find the information to, live better, eat better, manage your finances better. But where the real change is going to come is going to be from you actually making sure that you are being mindful of who you are as a person. Because once you start acting out those things that are described in the budget plan or in the diet, if that's not really who you are or who you want to be, eventually you're going to go back to being who you were before, because you're gonna get tired of following that diet one day. You're gonna get tired of following that budget one day, and then you're just gonna go back to living life like you were before. And most people, by tomorrow, the 15th, their New Year's resolutions, they out the window. Most people not even doing that stuff anymore. Like everybody makes the resolutions, but it is statistically stated that after the 15th, usually people have given up. A large majority of people have given up on their New Year's resolutions. So that's more one day over 2 weeks. So it happens to a lot of people, and I want to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. That's why I'm coming to you on day 14 before the 15th day, just to give you that little reminder that you need to be making sure you're staying on track with whatever it is you want to achieve. If you wanted to get better credit, better finances, make sure that you have the plan, but make sure you are changing who you are to be able to sustain that. Make sure that you're around other people who are also trying to do the same thing. Because I know somebody who's trying to work on their credit. Somebody who's trying to work on their finances. And you two can work together, be accountability partners. Make sure that y'all go into 2020 and continue to do the same things that y'all set out to do at the beginning of the year. And stay around that person, stay around other people, go to classes, seminars, anywhere that you can go that have people that are trying to make that same improvement in that same area, or people who are at that next level that you're trying to get to. Make sure you're around people like that so that you can adopt those habits and make sure that you sustain the change that you're trying to see in your life. So 2020 is yours. That's going to be my hashtag for the rest of this year. So I want you guys to have a great 2020. Make sure it is not like your 2019. I'm going to make sure that me and my family, that we have a better 2020 than 2019 was for us. And it wasn't bad, but I'm just going to make sure that it's better. So you guys, I'm thankful that you guys spent this time with me. I don't even know how long I took y'all time, but I'm just so glad that y'all took the time out to spend the time with me. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your 2020, and I'll see y'all soon. But before I go, do you guys have any questions? Any questions regarding credit? Any questions regarding finances that I could possibly answer for y'all? If not, I'm gonna let y'all go, and I'm gonna go too, because I'm ready to chill too. I ain't getting no time to relax today. So, anybody got any questions? Okay, what's the easiest way to adopt a new mentality? Okay, that's a pretty good question right there. The easiest way to adopt a new mentality. Well, the first thing I would probably say is to make sure that you are aware of where you currently are as far as mentality. You need to see what the flaws are and what things are in your life currently, especially if it's a specific area. And once you know what your mindset is in that area, and once you're aware of the flaws in that thinking, it can make it a lot easier for you to eventually start to try to seek out a way to make a change in that area. So once you have sought out the ways to make a change in that area, you need to try to make sure that you adopt the behaviors and the characteristics that come with living out that new mentality that you feel like you need to have. And of course, it helps if you have a real good motivation to do so. And the mindset of a person with the mentality of a person with a 800 credit score, I can guarantee you, is very different from the mentality of a person with a 500 credit score. Not saying that one person is better than the other, but I'm saying the characteristics that person has is going to be totally different from the other, and it's going to be characteristic of the 800 score person is going to be characteristics that are going to be that of maintaining the abundance and credit that this person is able to have. And like I said, the same thing applies for any other area that you're trying to make improvement in. And this is all stuff that I had to, learn for myself, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing myself too. But it is definitely something that you should try to do if you have any area in your life that you feel like is not where it needs to be. Okay, and I have a question about bankruptcy too. So as far as bankruptcy goes, if you want to know if you should file for bankruptcy, I can tell you that in most situations, most people don't even need to file for bankruptcy. When it comes to bankruptcy, it is really a matter of you being super, super deep in debt that you cannot pay off. And I would probably recommend that to a person that owes tens of thousands of dollars in debt, probably maybe more than $20,000 in debt that is not with collections, because paying off accounts doesn't help your credit score. If you didn't know, paying off accounts won't remove accounts on your credit score, on your credit report. So most people do think that is how that will help them with their credit score. But in most cases, that's not the case. And with a bankruptcy, that's all that does is pay off the accounts that are on your credit report. They will remain on there. And honestly, sometimes the accounts don't even show up that they were paid off. So they still show up negative on your credit report as far as like you owe them money. But I only tell people that have a whole bunch of charge-offs, which is the original creditor on their credit report, or if you have a whole bunch of credit card debt that are on open accounts that you have no ability to try to pay off, like you can't even make a plan to legitimately try to pay off that stuff, then I would tell a person to get bankruptcy in those instances. Because usually, honestly, not just because I'm biased, but a person can restore their credit even with a good bit of debt if they do credit repair, if they go to a legitimate person that's actually going to take the steps that are required by a company to help somebody. And, then I would say, you go for the credit repair company if you find a good option. But bankruptcy is usually only needed in a small percentage of times. And if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to go ahead and throw them out there. But bankruptcy, like I said, is only needed for a small portion of people from my recommendation. And basically, it'll mess you up for a longer period of time than it would take you to go through a credit repair company in most cases, if you qualify to do it that way. And like I said, Chapter 10 will stay on your credit report for 7 years. Or Chapter 7 will stay on your credit report for 10 years. And there are other effects, like especially when you're trying to get a house, that can delay you on being able to get a house if you file a bankruptcy. So you need to be very careful when you're trying to choose that option. Hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully that answers the question. But I'm not really seeing any other questions out there. I'll give you guys just a few more seconds if you have some questions. Don't mind me while I adjust my hat. But yeah, if y'all have any other questions, feel free to let me know. Give you guys a few more seconds. Okay. Well, it looks like everybody in the live stream must have A1 credit already. So I guess nobody really needs any help. And that's a good thing. That means you starting off 2020 right. You've gotten everything right on your credit reports, just flawless. And I'm proud of you. But again, like I said, if nobody has any questions, any credit questions, any financial questions, any business questions. And yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce myself, so I'm going to introduce myself at the end. For those of you who may not be aware of who I am, my name is Will Frazier. I'm a credit expert. I've been the owner of Clean Slate Credit for over 6 years. I've been a realtor for over 4 years now, licensed in Alabama and South Carolina. And I used to work for Wells Fargo. That was my last job. And of course, I worked with finances, master and MBA. So everything in the financial area, I'm pretty knowledgeable about that stuff. So yeah, if nobody has any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this thing up. And again, I appreciate everybody for being here with me. I hope that this information was useful. And I'm glad that you are going to have a better 2020 than your 2019. And I'll see you guys the next time I go live, and I'll have some more useful information for you guys that'll help you guys with keeping your credit on track. And again, thank you for your time. Y'all have a good night.